Now we covered the top 50%, we covered the bottom, we also tried to cover the entire the list as and when it expands, right? We did that. Now let's talk about this bottom 50%, how you can get the bottom 50% from the offset function, right? So now what I will do, first of all, I will try to go to this cell, the last cell, right? And once I'm done that, once I know that my offset function is always taking me to the last cell, I will again count all the values. I will divide it by 2, and because I want the data in the upward direction, because we need the bottom 50%, we will use the minus sign in the height parameter. But here the main task is how you can go to the uy, right? Because so far in all the offset the tables we created, we always started from the top, and that's why we use the offset and then a1 comma 0 comma 0. But in this case now I have to go on the uy. Now to go on the uy, ideally if you use the offset function, this is how you will say offset, and then you go to this reference, and then you say that how many rows you need. So this is 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, so you need the 7 rows and you want to be on the same column, right? This is how we write. So now you can see that you have uy. If I just go and write h, then you need to increment this 7 by 8 because your number of rows will be incremented, right? So this thing has to be automated if you want to go to the last cell, because I cannot come here every time and update this manually. So this is again very simple. Instead of writing this 8 as manually, I can use the count a formula. So what I can do, I can go and select this count a is to a, and I can press enter. Okay, now a is to a obviously returns 9, but for offset this is ninth row, means that this one 10th row, because offset starts with 0. If I just write here 0, and if I just go and drag it like this, let me click on the fill series. Now you know that because offset starts with 0, so this is ideally actually going to be the 8th row, right? So that is why to balance it, what I will do, I will minus 1 from it. Then we will have the total numbers coming and 1 will be subtracted from it, and then you will have the last position coming here. You can see here now you have h, and if I just go and write here something else, you can see that it's coming here, right? This is how it is. So now your formula is dynamic, it's picking up the last value. Now if it is picking up the last value, what I want to do now please understand, this time I have used the count a function in the rows parameter, right? So it's not that it is always going to be used in the height parameter like in the previous examples. If we see here, we said that row should be 0, column should be 0. That means you have to be here on this cell. Done. Now what we are supposed to do, after I go to this last cell, I will go and use the other parameters like height and width. So to get the height, I need the 50% data. So again I use count a. Let's say you can use a1 to, let's say, a100, and then you can divide it by 2, right? And the width will remain 1. So here we will write this minus count a1 to a100, control shift enter. Okay, now we got the problem here. We have to see what is the issue. First of all, I just go and write here also a1 to a100. So we have to see what is the issue. So this is your height. I think we can go and check that using the formula bar because I don't know what is the issue with this formula. So let's go and click on the evaluate formula. So offset A1, count A 1 to A, 12 minus 1. Okay, so we got the 11 and then the height. So the height, okay, so here is the problem. Yeah, I got the problem. Height cannot be 0 obviously, but the problem is count function we use to count the numbers, but this is a text, right? So better we use the count A. Now I press Ctrl Shift Enter, and now you can see if I go and press F9, my data starts from II, UY, H, MIZ, boy and apple, right? So it's picking up the entire data now. This is now picking up the bottom 50% data. If I go and delete this data, and I go here and I press F9, you can see that I got here Thursday, YYUU. These numbers, the 50% data is automatically getting captured, right? So this is how we can calculate the bottom 50%, right? Now we would like to go and check that where we can use these all things, because we have created the data. Now let's go to the new sheet, and in the new sheet what I will do, I will like to go here and create here the same dashboard, the dashboard, that TL dashboard we created. Now this time we would like to create the drop downs, dynamic drop downs, the same dynamic drop downs which you created using the indirect function in the previous chapter. So offset can also do the same job. So let's go and check that. So I go and pick up the same data, the old data. I go in the exercise. So this is my data. I go and copy this entire data. I go in the sheet 1 and I go and paste the data. Now this is the list TL wise, right? Now the first thing which I will do here, I will create here two drop downs. This is the first one and this is the second one. So let's go and let me go and just give it a color. So this is my first drop down and this is my second drop down. Now we want that whenever we do anything in the first drop down, so let's go to the all DL, let's click on the list. This is how we can create the drop down. So my first list will come automatically from here, right? Now this is very interesting and very important as well. Now you got the list of TLs here, right? Now the next thing which we want is that in this table you should get the TL associates automatically, right? Now as we know, using the indirect also it is possible, but this exercise is on the offset, so maybe you can use the offset as well. Now to use the offset, what we are supposed to do, the idea is, first of all, you will go and create the that same list which we created last time, this list. In the offset we created this list. You remember, when I go and do any changes in the TL, this data also changes, right? But the idea remains the same. This is how we're going to use the offset, but this time, because we need the drop down, we want to show every associate in the drop down, we will use this function in the data list, in the data validation, right? So let us first of all go and start this. So first of all let's go and create the dynamic drop down. So I go and say offset, okay, and then offset has to go where? Offset has to go here, let's say from A2, row and the column and the height and the width. So row and the column means that how many, obviously from the A2, which row you want. Now in this particular case, how many rows I need, I do not know, because every TL has a different list. So I'm not going to use here that one, because I don't need just one person. If I just go and use the one, and let's say it is Hemant, so the column would be from here if I start, the column would be what? 1 and 2, right? So I write here 2. You'll get the Ritika, but the point is I want the entire list. I want the entire list. So to get the entire list in this, to get the entire list, instead of this row, I will go and use what? I will go and say that, let's say I want the Hema. So how many people I want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So I go and write here 9, and you press Ctrl Shift Enter. Now when you press Ctrl Shift Enter, what you will get? I press F9. Okay, so so I write offset. I write that I want to start from here because it is Hemant. So I go in the first row and then in the column number 0, 1, 2, and I make sure that I should be on Ritika. Once I have this, the cell, once I am on this cell Ritika, what I will do, I will go from here and I will create the height now. So from Ritika, how many number of cells we need? This is my 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So 9. I go and write in the height 9 and the width will remain 1. Control Shift Enter. And now you have a entire list: Ritika, Sonia, Ankita, Rakesh, right? So 1 is left, the last one, Divya. That's because I think I should have put here 10. Control Shift Enter, and now we go and say that press F9. So now you can see that you have got that list. Okay, now this is cool, you got the entire list. If I just again show you F9, so we have created this entire table, right? Now if I have created this table, let me just copy and paste it here. If I go and change this Hemant to, let's say, Amy, this list has to change now. So for Amy, I have to go to Amit, obviously. So you need to keeping your row number same, because if I use this A2, I have to go here. The first row would be this, and afterwards, how many numbers you have? So you have how many numbers? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you go and write here 5 because you have to go to the Amit. So this is what I will do. This is how we will change. And because we need for Amy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the height, you'll write here, we need the 5 number of rows. Control Shift Enter. And now you see that you have Akshay, Rahul, Sunil, and then 0, 0. Okay, so we are getting the wrong number. I think the column is wrong. The column should be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so the column should be 4, not 5. Control Shift Enter, and now we have Amit Kumar, Shushant, Aditya, Matt Jr. So you have got all the values, right? So that means this is how, basis this selection, you will go and create the offset function. Now you can see that offset can also be used, right? Now how we are going to put this entire thing here? In the form of the drop down. Okay, now you see what is happening. Basis this cell, what we are selecting here, we are actually changing this, right? So obviously the row number 1 will remain as it is, but this column would come from the match function, right? Because I want to see that from where I have to start, from which column I have to start. If I give this my A2 as a reference, so you're matching up this profile J3, isn't it? You're going in the J3 and you are picking up the row number of this, the position of this J3. This is the same process which we did last time when we were dragging the cells, but this time it is a drop down, and that is why we are using the height and the width. Now I use the match and this becomes dynamic to me, right? Now I go and freeze everything. So again I press Ctrl Shift Enter. Again you go and press F9 and you can see that the values are coming automatically, right? Now I have made this dynamic. The only thing now which is left is that you also need to understand that what height you want to give, because every item has a different height, like this has only two numbers. So you need here the height as 2, because once I am on this cell Richa, then from here I want to stop here, I want to go to this cell. So how we can do that? Well, I think what you can do is you can keep the maximum buffer here in this scenario, because you want to give the height. So you know that this is the your the maximum, the height. So maybe I know I can go and give it as 10, right? This is how you can actually go and give the height. So now we will go and press Ctrl Shift Enter. So anytime now you go and change, let's say Ajay, you see that the list automatically changes. So now we have this list coming, right? The 000 will not give us any problem in the drop down, but the list is changing. Look at this. And the moment you go and select, let's say Prasad, and you go here, you can see that the first name is Richa, and if I press F9 I get start seeing my Richa and Kaushal. So what is happening? The same concept we are using. This time we are just using the height and the width. Now from here, first my cell goes here, because I am able to find out the position of Prasad. So how many columns I need to move, that is my match function is telling me how many columns I'm supposed to move, So this is my match function. So this tells me that you have to move 6 columns and you have to go on the row number 1. So that means from here the row number 1 would be this, and the 6 column numbers would be 1 2 3 4 5 6. Once I am on the Richa, then from there I'm saying that please pick up the 9 cells, please pick up the 10 cells. That is how it is. This is how we can do it. You can further go and you can make this also dynamic. I mean this particular thing, you can make the height again dynamic. For example, if you are on Prasad, then you can put here somewhere a formula and you can count all these values, isn't it? So you can say that count A, and then you can keep this range for for this Ajay. This is, let's say, the maximum range, and then you can go and just go simply and paste it here. So now you have all the 7 10 5 5 3 2, and here in this parameter, in this 10, what we can do is instead of using this 10, we can use the VLOOKUP also. We can go it and give it a try. Oh sorry, HLOOKUP. So you use the HLOOKUP and you say that I have to look up this J3, and this is my table, because your lookups are horizontal. Yesterday also we did this kind of exercise. So 14th is the row which I want, 14th row and 0. So I press go and I press Ctrl Shift Enter. I go and freeze the table. Why I'm freezing the table, I'll just let you know, though we don't have to drag this, but still I'm freezing the table, right? So let's go and press F9. Look at this now, Richa and Kaushal are coming. What else you want, guys? This is such a wonderful thing, right? So if I go and change anything here, you see that if I go and press F9, I have my all the table. Now there are no blank cells coming, right? Now this is done so far. Now the thing is, once you are able to convert this into this, the list, now this is exactly the same process. If you remember, when we use the indirect function, in the indirect function also, this is how we did the things. First we created the indirect, I showed you an example, and then I went to the name managers. Now same way, what you need to do, we will go and create the name managers, because what happens here in this list, I will go and put my drop down function, this formula, this entire formula. So what I will do, I will just go and copy this entire formula, because now I know this formula is working. So you go to your data validation and down. So this is my list, and now the source would come from this function. I press OK, and now you can see that drop down is there, right? Now you see that this is my Gurpreet, Mansi, Parne, Josna, Shelly. Your list is coming. And now when you go and change this to something else, let's say Heyman, I go here and I click here, and now you can see that you start getting here Ritika, Sonia, Ankit. This is cool option, isn't it? Now so what is happening in this particular case? The thing is, understand the point. In this case, we didn't have to create the name managers like we used in the indirect function. In the indirect function, first I created these name managers that Ajay will refer to this list, Hemant will refer to this list, and then this indirect, this indirect will go to this cell, and then obviously because in J3 is not a string, it is a proper cell address, it is a proper range. Indirect picks up the list for you and display it if you go and use that in the data validation list option. But in the offset now, in the offset what is happening, we don't have to do that because it's already picking the list, right? What we are saying, we are saying that go in this cell, start from here and then check out the which column number you have for the Hemant, and then go in the row number 1, this row number 1, and from there just pick up the how many items you have. So that means if right now Hemant shows this entire list, right? If I go further and I if you have given a range, like let's say your ranges are only up till this level, but if I go and increase this range and if I go and add anything here, that will be added. But anyways, we can do this in the Prasad. So let's say in the Prasad I go and write Sunil, Hemant, and let's say I add Rachit. Now you go and select Prasad. Now let's go and click here. Can you see that? Automatically it's picking up. Why? Because your height is now 5 and VLOOKUP is able to capture this. So some people also prefer using the offset in the drop downs instead of the indirect. I mean, both ways are fine. Ultimately, you see, it's all about the output. So if your output comes how you want, it doesn't matter what you use in the background. So this is one of the use of the offset function when we talk about the height and the width. We have further more uses. We can use them in the charts also, we can use them in the pivots also. I'm going to talk about the charts now and then we will see the use of that offset function, right? But right now your offset with the with the first offset where we didn't have to use the Control Shift Enter, reference row column is covered. Offset with the reference row column and height and width is also covered. Now you see, if you know the art of changing your database, like top 50%, bottom 50%, or maybe in this case you can see it's changing, the entire table is changing based on the selection using the, because you have put the formula in the height as a count A, if you know this kind of a thing, then that means you can anytime do the changes in those things which uses the data, like charts always uses the data. So if you know how to change the data, you can play around with the chart as well. So for example, as I said yesterday in my last session, you have a chart and you have the maybe 20-30 items there which are displaying and you just need the top 3 items. Chart is going to use the entire data, but what if using the offset you can program it, that only the top 3 items should come. So this is what now we are going to see in the charts. Let's go and talk about that and then you will further have more understanding. So in the pivots also we can go and create that, right? So by definition and by looking at all these examples, I'm sure now you guys know that how the offset actually used, and still we have a long way to go because offset can do pretty more important things. It can be used in the form and the ActiveX controls which I said in the last session. We will come to that, but first of all let's go and do one thing. Let's go and talk about the charts. So to create the charts, I go and insert a new worksheet and I create here a chart. First of all I will explain you how we can create the chart. Okay, so let's say I go and write here company and I write here let's say this is my company Aeon, and this is their year performance. Okay, so let's go and so maybe I write here, let's say different companies. So we have Dell, Sony, Xperia, maybe this is the another company, this is the another company, and here we have the performance. I will simply make this only a chart only with the one legend, which means I just create only one header for the y-axis for the time being. So this is your data, this is how it is, right? Okay, so now first of all, let us understand how to create the charts. We are learning the charts now. So this is my data. So if you just select this any cell and you go to the insert and you click on the chart here, any chart you can choose. There are different these templates. So this is the mostly used chart, right? This one. So I go and click on this clustered column chart, and as you can see, my chart is done. I didn't have to do anything. I just selected this data, and my data is automatically started pulling. It automatically captured by my this, the chart intelligence. Now you have to understand a couple of things here. So we have, see, a chart is made up of different components. For example, this is called your chart title, and these all items, these all, we call them legends also, we call them series also, right? And they all get displayed by the y-axis, and this is your x-axis, right? And these are called the grid lines. And then so there are so many things, but you don't have to remember. The good thing is you don't have to remember. If you select the chart, you get this chart tool activated, guys, and then you go to the format, you go to the format option, and from here you can see all the things here. Chart area, suppose you want to know the chart area, click on the chart area. This is your chart area which is getting selected. If you go and click on the chart title, you can see that the chart title is also selected, isn't it? And then if you go and want to see that what is the horizontal axis, click here. You see that the horizontal axis is selected. This is getting highlighted. Same way, if you go and click on the vertical, this, the value axis, let's click on that. Look at this, guys. It is also getting selected. Now if you go and click on this major grid line, you see that the grid lines are selected. And the same way, if you go and click on the performance, you see that all the legends, all these the performance, these values are getting selected. So why I'm telling you all this? Because if you have to do some action on these things, you want to customize them, first you got to select them, right? So it's like, if I say that please copy the Aeon and paste it somewhere, obviously you will go there and you will then copy it. You can't simply copy Aeon and paste here without going there, right? So you have to go there. If I say go to the ABC Limited, just copy and paste the ABC Limited, so you will go there, and then do some action. If I say that you have to bold Dell, you will go there and then do the click on the B part, this you will make it bold. Same way, this is what I'm trying to say, that when you want to work on the chart, it depends, scenario to scenario, what you want to do. For example, I want to say that my grid lines should be removed. So first you click on the grid line. You see that all the grid lines are selected now. Now once they are selected, guys, I can go and press delete. You see that the grid lines are gone, right? If I need it back, I can undo it also. If you want that, you want to remove the chart title, you can select that and you can say delete. It is gone. Let me undo it. If you want that, you should give it some color. Maybe you can give it a color from here. Look at this. You can give it a color from here also. You can also make it bold. You can also change the font, whatever you want to do, right? But generally, we keep our charts very simple. I mean, we really don't customize it so much, right? Now, if you have to customize the y-axis, you just select that, right click, and then say that I want to format my axis. I will tell you about all these things. So this is your format axis coming, the option is coming. We have this option coming here, right? Go and talk about that. Now guys, I'm using 2016. So what if I have to do the same thing without going in these options like this? You can also do one thing. When you create the chart in 2016, this plus sign comes here. I think in 2013 also this is how you get this plus sign. But if you are using 2007 or 2010 Excel, then you won't see this plus sign here. These all options, axis title, chart title, data label, error bars, grid line, legend, trend line, they all are going to show up under the chart tool design. So in this option, in here in your Excel 2007 and 2010 version, you'll find here a tag called layout. I guess that's the layout. When you click on the layout, you start seeing all these options. So just kind of they have just put it here, moved that option here, but otherwise when you start using it, you'll find them all the same. So let's go and quickly check that. So this is my axis. If I don't need the axis, I can uncheck that, and as you can see, your x-axis, y-axis are gone. But I think this chart has no meaning if you don't have the axis. So definitely we need the axis, right? Now here also you have further option that you want to create the primary or the horizontal. If I say I don't need the horizontal, I uncheck that, and you can see here it's gone, guys. Now if it is gone, what this chart actually tells us? Nothing. I don't think so. This is meaningless, because you do not know which company performance is this. So we definitely need it, right? If you do not need the vertical axis, you can uncheck that, and then you can see the vertical axis is gone, right? So I like to keep both the options for the time being. Now what about the axis title? Now axis title, guys, personally I do not use it. I really don't like this. But as you can see, the moment I hover here, axis title comes on the y-axis. If I just go and click here, now what happens, you start getting here this axis title, and here as well. Now this is just to give the extra information. For example, you want to put some information here that these are the top stock market companies. You can write here, right? Top stock market companies, but I don't think so I really need to put that information in the chart. But still, if you want, you can keep that information. Same way you can create here as well. Right now I'm not going to create it, so I just go and delete it, right? This option, if you want to keep it, you can. That's okay. I can just go and move it little to the below side, and then you can go and maybe if you want to give it some font, or you want to make it bold, that's all up to you guys, right? So maybe I can go and say that this has to be Arial narrow, and I have to go and just go and use the 9 and then just unbold it. This is how you can use it. But why I say that I don't want to use it, because this is something you can put in the chart title as well. You just go here and write that top stock companies, isn't it? I think that's more meaningful. Or then you remove the chart title if you want to use the axis title, right? So top stock markets. So this is how you can use top stock markets, right? So I don't need this. I will go and delete this just for your information. Let's go to the next option, chart title. Do you need the chart title? No. Uncheck it. You can also directly, as I said, you can also go and select this and delete, but from here also you can handle. Now you want to give the movement to the chart. You say that you want to just put it on the center. You put it on the center, you put it on the above, or maybe you can directly go and move it from, you can drag this also. This is quite simple. I don't think so you will go and use this option from here, right? But that's That's how you should know it. Data label. Now data label is a good option, guys. You can see that the moment I hover, data label start coming reflecting on the chart. So if I just click on that, the data starts coming here. Now you have the company numbers. Now it's no I don't know, maybe you can disagree with me, but if I start showing these numbers on the chart, why would I go and use this y-axis? So maybe I can go and delete that, isn't it? Because this is much better now. So now you can start showing all these numbers like this. Let me undo it. Okay, so and if you click on this option called the data label, you have further more options. You want to show them on the center, you want to show them on the inside end, inside base, outside end, and this is also data callout option. Look at this data callout. It starts telling you about the company and the performance, and I will not use this because I know my x-axis is telling me the entire thing. Or you remove then the x-axis and then you can use this, right? So you have more options here. You can click on the more option, and now you see here you have the category name. If you do not need the category name, just uncheck that and you can see category is gone. Category means which actually your x-axis. If you do not need the value, you can uncheck the value also. You see that everything is gone, guys, right? Let me undo it. So now we are back on that. Let's just go back there, plus sign, data label, and then I go and click on the more option, right? So this is how it is. So let's say I want the value, but with the value I want the series name. You can see that this is how it tells you. Series means obviously what you're showing in the y-axis. Performance, well, we don't need that, that's okay. So just in case, if you have two headers, for example, you want to show category with the value, you can also put the separator, different separators. So suppose if you want to put the space, then you see that this is a space, that comma is gone. And if you want to use maybe semicolon or this period sign, you can use that. Now it's coming, the period is coming. So there are different ways of doing it. I just go and uncheck that. This is of no use to me, and I'm just okay with these numbers, right? So this is how it is going to come. Now in the charts, one of the best thing is that if I have to bold these numbers, I have to change the font, I have to make them little bigger in size, I can go and click on one, and all the rest of these data labels will be selected. So keeping that option on, I can go here and I can increase the size this way. If you want to give them the color, you can also give them the color like this, and we can go and give it a white font also. This is how it is, right? If you again select this and you just use the let me just go and move it little up. Now you have to go and let me go and select that again, right? I have selected all. Now the point is, when you go and move it, you can also individually move them. If I have to show this let's say maybe little, I mean, you can change the height and the width, right? I will not go into that, but what I'm trying to say is that you can go and move these pointers from here like this, right? So I just go and click on this data label, I uncheck that, I again click on that, and now you have these numbers. I'm happy with that. I don't need much formatting. These are the numbers coming, so I'm okay with that. Would you like to create a data label? Data table is nothing, guys. Data table is that table which you have created here, that starts showing here. If you want to prefer, you want to keep it here, you can keep it here, but generally I don't use this, so I can uncheck that. I don't use the error bars. The grid lines, if I uncheck that, you see the grid lines are gone. If you need the grid lines, you can click here and you can also create, these are the major grid lines. If you want to create the verticals, you can see that you can create the vertical lines as well, and then the minus as well. Look at this. This is how it is. So I go and uncheck that, and I go and remove everything. So these are all the vertical lines, just in case if you're interested. Legend. Well, what is a legend? Well guys, legend actually tells you about that this basically color refers to what. Right now there is just one header, so we all know that this refers to performance. But let's say you have more performances here, then you will have more colors. This is we are going to do, but right now I want to show you. If you click on the legend, this is the legend we are talking about. This legend, you can move this legend on the top, on the left, on the bottom. That depends where you want to keep it, right? So let's say I want to keep this on the right side, right? Now this is of no use right now because we have only one legend here, one series, and we know it is actually all about the performance. So if I go and create something else, for example, if I just let me delete that. If I use the same data in the new sheet, let me go and copy the data, and I go and paste the data here. Now let's say you have a performance, this is your 2001 performance, and this is your 2002 performance, or maybe let's say we say profit, and here you have 2003 profit, right? In this way. So here I have my 2001 profit. Now I go and double click here. This is your data, and let's go and add some numbers here. Now when I create the chart, you will see the importance of legends, right? So this is your data. Again I go and insert the chart. You can also go and insert the chart, like if you go and insert the chart from any blank cell, then what happens when you go and insert the chart, your chart will be inserted as blank, and then you go and click on the select data, because you have to select the data. This is a blank chart, right? Because you didn't select the chart area, that data, so that's why the chart coming blank. But no problem, I can go and select this entire data like this, right? This is what it is happening. The data is getting used. I click OK, and the chart is coming. I mean, in fact, even if you go in this chart, guys, and you go to this select data, you want to check, or maybe right click and see that select data. This is what you find. You see that A1 to B8. This is the data coming in the chart. There it automatically selected. Here you have to you had to select this manually, because when you created the chart, your cursor was on the blank cell. Now in this case, guys, can you look at the chart and can you tell me what this chart is all about? This has no meaning, because you know the numbers, but what this number stands for. If I say that this is my Aeon numbers, 100 and then 500 and then 200, but what is this? A loss? Is this a profit, or what it is, right? So legends are very important here. So what you will do, you will go in the plus sign and you see that I need my legends, and now we can use these legends here. You can see that. So finally your legends are there. Now we know which actually color is for which particular thing, right? So this is your perfect chart. Now if you want, you can move them. I mean, you can go and let's say I go and create them on the top. So I click on this arrow sign and I click on the top. So this goes to the top. Remember, in the 2007-2010, this plus sign won't come. So you have to go to the chart tool, and under the chart tool there is an option called layout in the ribbon, and when you click on that layout, you start seeing all the options here in this way. So you start seeing all these options there, no changes at all, right? Chart title I want to give, this time I don't want to give, because my legends are quite self-explanatory, right? Now I don't need these grid lines, so I can go and delete that, right? This is how it is, right? So now obviously if you want to change the color, right now we have got beautiful colors in all the chart, these Excel versions. In 2003 version, I'm not sure if you have ever worked on in the 2003 version, but I started my career with the Excel 2003 version way back in 2002. uh, there, when we used to create the charts, we never used to have the designs, right? So we had to do a lot of hard work in finding out the good combination of the colors, right? But now you have wonderful templates here. So in 2016 we have these all different templates. In your 2013 you will have different templates. So these templates are there. I mean, you can go and use any of them. They are wonderful, right? So these are all the templates you can use, whatever suits you. So if you go here, and before you click here, you can just hover and you can see what suits you. Like this is a good one, right? If you look at this, this is also good chart. Look at this now. So what happened in this template, guys? They removed the y-axis and they started showing the data labels, right? And we know how we created that. So it's not that you can't create these templates. Now in this template they removed the data label and they created the y-axis. So you can do everything manually also, right? Now if you look at this carefully, there is a gap. There is a gap between these series. Every series of each company is separated by some distance. If I go and click on this, that distance becomes more, right? So this is also something you can create. I'll just explain you how we can do that, right? So these are all the different templates. Use whatever you want to use. So I go and maybe use this template. Now as I was telling you, we can also go and reduce this gap if you want. How you will do it? You click on any of the series. I click here. Now you see, once you click on this series, you just go and right click and go to the format data series. Okay, you can also do this from here also, from this format. You see 2002 profit is selected, right? So because we know this is a profit one, this is 2002 profit number. So whether you select from here, if I select this, then also the numbers will change. If I select this, you can see this is also changing. Now it is 2003. Or you go and select from here. Choice is yours. So all the series are created, guys, right? As a beginner, maybe you can go and use this option, because sometimes what happens, people forget that what this was called, what was the name, this was how we refer this, how we refer this particular part, how we refer this particular part, and how we refer to this particular part. So I mean, you can take the help of this format series, right? So I go and select this and I right click and I click on the format data series, and then I go in the format data series. The pop-up would come, and now here this tells me about the series overlap and the gap width. Let us go and talk about both the things. Now series overlap, you see I'm going to increase the distance. See what is going to happen. Can you see that, guys? Your series distance is reducing. Look at this. So I can even join them like this, isn't it? Look at this. Well, now whatever we do, it's going to overdo the thing. So let's keep it simple. Let's just join them and let's reduce the distance. So this is how we can create. You can see here, right? So they're all joined, no distance. If you want to increase the distance, as I was showing you, you can reduce the distance. You can also drag this. I mean, for the quick reference, for example, you can just pull it to the right side. Look at this. So if I just go and release this here, this is how the distance would come, right? Well, certainly I don't want to do that. I want to keep them together. For me, the best option is this, not this one, of course. Maybe here I go and I further reduce. So yeah, so from these arrows I can, yeah, this is okay. So this is how it looks like. Now what is a gap width, guys? The gap between Aeon, Dell, Sony, Xperia, ABC, Mary Price. If I go and reduce that, Can you see that? Your gap, this is how. So your gap is getting reduced. So we can also get them joined like this. But obviously this does not make any sense, right? There has to be some gap. So I go and create the gap quickly from here. Yeah, this is the one. You want more gap, you can go and you can customize. I mean, you know, that's all up to you. How you want to bring more gap, you can just keep on clicking here and this is how it looks like, right? So this is how we can do this. A lot of customizations are possible in the charts. What I did, I selected any of the series, maybe this one, maybe this one, you know, and then I said right click and format data series. So then I use this series overlap and gap width. Now let's say you like the template, but you want to give it, maybe you want to give this one a different color, which obviously in the template you can't, because in the template if you select any of the title, the entire chart will be changed, but you are interested only in changing the color of this series. So no problem, just select that. Make sure you single click, because if you click here again, this is the only part now which is selected. You can see the rest of all the series of 2003 profit are unselected. So click outside, again click back here and make sure it's a single click so that we can have all these selected. As a beginner, if you find this little difficult, no problem. When you click on the chart, go in the chart tool, and in the chart tool click on the format and then just go here and, you know, select that series. Okay, so any series, I mean the series which you want to color. So I want to color my series 2003, so I go and select the 2003. I go and select that, it is selected. You can see now you can go in the format and you can give it a color from here. Let's say I want to give it a black color. This is also possible, right? Similarly, if you want to give it this one as something else, maybe I go here and I give this a white color. You don't want the grid line, select the grid lines and remove it. Now this is how your chart looks like, guys, right? This is how the chart looks like. Now I want to show you something very interesting. I uploaded a video also recently on this. Somebody emailed me and there was a problem, you know, sometimes the chart when you create, like in this particular case, you didn't have to do any manual work. I think it was pretty simple. You went to the insert chart, you selected the data and you press OK and you just then do some formatting things, and that's how you got it your chart, isn't it? So, and by the way, we can also go and reduce this number just in case if you want, so because you know they are overlapping, so you can do all that stuff. Just go and select that and reduce the size of this, right? This is how, I mean, you can, or maybe you can put them inside. So I mean there are different options, right? Like this one, this is coming little, this is merging with this, so maybe you can just go and select this again. Let me just click here again. When you click back here again, only this data label will be selected and you can put it, you know, you can move it little to this side. That's how, I mean, right? So now this is visible, this is visible. So these are the things you have to do it yourself. If you single click, all the series will be selected related to this color. If you only want to focus only on this, click back here again. Now this is the only selection. So if you want to show this in the bright color, maybe because this actually has really given the great performance, so you can do that. I mean, you can change the size of this. So this is now little bigger than the other values. Okay, so now I want to tell you, so if you look at this data, this data was okay. We had the data and the data was, I mean, if you have a correct data, your chart will not have a problem. But if you go and let's say you write here year, and I write here 2001 performance, and then 2002 performance, and then 2003 and 4 and so on, guys, you have the year on year performance. Okay, so we have all the year performance here, and let's say now here what I want to write is I want to show that my quarterly performance. Okay, so I write here let's say the performance so we have let's say output or maybe revenue, right? Now you have the revenue, and you have this is the revenue coming. Now you see what will happen, and you won't find these things, you know, on the Google in that much of depth, and even if you find, it's difficult to understand. Now you have some numbers here. Okay, I got some numbers here. Now you see, this is the same chart, nothing special, but I'm going to show you something. If I go and create the chart on this data, it's a yearly performance of maybe, let's say, Aeon company, you know, let's say this is how it is. So now when you go and insert the chart, let's say I select this table, anywhere in this table, I select any cell, I go and create the insert in the chart. Okay, now I created the chart. Now you see that, guys, it has a problem, and I think the problem is quite visible. It does not show the years. Why? This is not giving us any meaningful detail about the chart, isn't it? Actually, what happened, your x-axis generally are supposed to be, not generally, but I mean x-axis are supposed to be text. But in this case, x-axis is not a text, it is a number. And that is why somehow your chart get confused, because this is also a number and this is also a number. So numbers are always shown in the y-axis, you know, but on the x-axis we can't show the numbers. But now the thing is, these are actually not the numbers, these are year. I mean, obviously I don't want to add them, I don't want to show them in the legend part. I want to keep them here, that this should give me 2001, 2002, 2003. But somehow chart is unable to do that. Chart got confused, right? So if you can somehow manage to tell chart that, look, this is the text, don't treat this as a number, then chart may go and create that axis for you, right? This is one of the questions I got it from one of my YouTube subscriber also, right? So how we can do that? Well, there are separate ways, there are multiple ways of doing it, and I will show you all the methods you can go and then plan. The very first thing which I want to show you, that let us go and see that what is happening in the background. So I do need, first of all, the chart title. For the time being, I go and delete that, right? Now one more thing, if you have noticed, guys, I'm not sure if you're noticing this, actually you're on this y-axis, you know, on this y-axis they have created two legends, year and revenue, but it has to be only revenue. Year is also coming here, you see that? This has no meaning, because this year is supposed to be on the x-axis. Only this legend should come, only this series should come, because this is what exactly is all the revenue, right? That is why, because you have got both the things in this axis, y-axis, the problem is coming. So that does not mean now you go and delete it and recreate it and keep on waiting, because every time you create this is the same problem will come. So now we are going to do the post-mortem of this chart. So I select this chart, I go to the design view, and when I click on the design view, I click on the select data. When you click on the select data, this is how the chart looks like, guys. See this. You have the chart data coming, which I think is correct, but now you have to pay attention in the legends and in the horizontal axis. These are the these are your areas which are responsible for the functioning of your chart. Now legends means that the values which you want to show in the y-axis, obviously, right? Now the first thing is why I'm getting here year. This is not required because this is a legend. Legend means these one, right? So I should remove this. Somehow, as I said, chart intelligence could not actually understand your the data, and that's why your data has to be perfect if you want the chart. Otherwise you have to do some manual work. So first let's remove this year. We don't need, we just need the revenue. Legend means the values which you show on the y-axis. So I'll go and remove it, no problem. Gone. Perfect. Better, much better. Now you have now the numbers coming here. But what about the x-axis? Well, if you look at this horizontal axis, this is a horizontal axis, this is a vertical axis, we all know that. Just go and click on the edit. You have to edit it because if you see this is coming as 1 2 3 4 5, which is wrong, right? So you click on the edit, and now this tells you, so where is your axis label? My label is this, isn't it? I go and select that label from here, keeping your header part excluded. So when you click OK now, right, can you see that your list is edited and you have your chart back, guys? So this problem can be sorted by simply using these values, right? If you further want to edit this revenue, let's say you want to change the range of this, you can use the edit. Go to the edit. You have the series name that it refers to what? It refers to the B1, obviously this is the one. It refers to my range, which is coming from sheet 3, sign of exclamation, B2 to B15. So this is my B2 to B15, and here you can go and change this. Maybe you just need it B2 to B10. You can create that, right? This is how I'm telling you. And this is where, guys, I'm going to tell you the offset function also, because right now this is B2 to B15, and I can create this B2 to B15 list using the offset also, right now. But let's just talk about little more about this chart. So this chart is done, and then obviously you can go and use the different colors, whatever color suits you. I just go and use this sort of chart, maybe this sort of chart, this sort of chart, the whatever you want to use, right? So you have your chart, and the chart is created. I don't need the y-axis because my data labels are enough. They are telling the entire story, right? You don't need the any legend here because this is just a one header. Now let's say they say that this is this is a revenue, but we also want to show you the loss. So let's go and create the loss as well, right? So let's say I go and create the loss here. This is how it is. Let's say this is a loss. Okay, so now what do? Are you going to create a new chart? No, of course not. Just go to the design, just click on the select data. Your everything is already set. Just click on the add. When you click on the add, because you want to add one more legend, series name, you can write here loss, or my loss, or company loss, or whatever, or maybe you can select this cell also, right? Series name means the name you're going to give here. Right now you see that it's showing series 1. So you click here. When you click here, this becomes loss, right? So whatever you write here, that should come here in the form of the legend. So what is the series value? Obviously this is your value. You click OK. When you click OK, you see that the loss is coming, and somehow my horizontal axis again converted to number 1 2 3 4. No doubt they are coming here. If they're coming, I'm okay with that. Otherwise, no problem. I know how to edit it. Again, I go and select that. So when you add the label, it may lose its original values, but you can always go and edit it, right? So that's how the chart is created, guys, and this is your chart. Okay, I don't need these values. I can go and delete them. Instead of them, I want to show them in the y-axis. So I go and click on this and vertical. You need the vertical axis. You have the vertical axis, and this is how your chart looks like. Okay, what is the another way of working with this kind of a data? If I quickly go and copy this data and I paste it here, and I again go and insert the chart. So I go and insert the chart. Now you see again the same problem is coming. Now we can also do one thing, guys. If you have anticipated, if you know that this problem would come, experience makes you perfect in all these things, then instead of this 2001, either I convert these numbers to text. I think that would be great. But how will you do that? Well, you can use the text function, text function. This is a text function. I think we have this text function is also we use in the formatting the the date and the time, but if you have to ever convert any number to a text, you can use this text value. You want to format, to just use in the double quotes hash hash hash, press enter. You can see it moved to the left side, and anything that moves to the left side when you press enter without you going here and doing any alignment changes, that's your actually number, and that's your text, right? So now what I do is I go and copy this, and I go and paste value it, right? So I go and delete it. Now I delete the chart. I think they are now text. I can check, is it a number using the boolean function? Well, it is not a number, it says false. Well, it must be a text then. You can use the is text as well. Is it a text? So yes, it is a text. Now let's go and create the chart on this. I go and insert the chart, insert, and look at this. This time your chart intelligence did not fail. It was able to capture the year, which is now, this is how it is, right? So it's all about converting the text. Or maybe I prefer, why don't you just do all this thing? If you have to write 2001, just write like this, year 2001, because this is good, alphanumeric. This will never have a problem. So instead of that, you can use this as well. But I mean, sometimes people they prefer the year only. They don't want this to be written like this. I mean, there are several ways you can create here y as well. Let's say this is y stands for year, right? The idea is to make to give this crystal clear message to your chart that look, this is a text and I want this in the x-axis, right? So this is how you can work with the charts. You can also modify them, you can edit them, right? Now let me save this file. Now let's quickly go and check the use of the offset, that how we going to use the offset. Now just in case, if you want that, I'm going to give the option to the user. Let me save this file first of all. Now, one thing you need to understand here is that if let's say I want, this is my chart, right? We all know this is my chart. Now I want to say, I want to display only the top 50% data. Every time this chart gets incremented, I only want to show the top 50% data. Or maybe you can give here a drop down, and in the drop down you see that the number of items the user want, that we can give it here. So I write here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 and 15. Let's say only the 15. So from this drop down now, if I select, let's say I need only the top 2 items, I should be able to see only the top 2 items in the chart automatically. That means these top 2 items. This can't be done without the offset, right? Because chart is using the complete data. So now let's go and work on this. Now, you know guys, before I go further, quickly, I want to tell you what is the idea. You know this revenue is coming from where? Go in the edit. This is the revenue. If somehow you can link this B2 to B15 with this, that means if I select 2 here, this B2 to B15 should change to B2 to B3. Your job is done. And the same way, if somehow you can edit this as well. Right now it is A2 to A15. So if I say I want this, I just want A2 to A3, because if you're changing here, you will have to, if you're changing the x-axis, you have to accordingly, you know, change the y-axis also. So this is what we are going to see now, how we can do that. Well, first of all, let us go and quickly create the offset here in Excel. Okay, so I want right now I have created the chart. That's okay. I will not delete this chart. We will modify this chart, right? So we just go and put it here. Now, how we gonna write the offset if I have to pick up the only 2 items of this table? You know that I can say offset, then we will start from the year. Okay, now since I do not need the header, because I just need the data, so I go and say offset A1 1, 0. You have the 2001 coming, right? Now from 2001 you have to go according to this. So this 2 we can use in the height. So you say that my height actually is going to be this, which is E1. I freeze the table, because when you go and create the name manager, somehow name managers, if you don't put the dollar, they automatically change the reference. So when you go and use this formula in the name manager, if you don't have the dollar, this A1 can be changed. Okay, so that's why it's always good to put the dollars here like this. So what is my width? My width is 1. I control shift enter. I already had shown you that how we make these things, you know, so I will not really like to explain much here. You got the 2001 2002, and if I go and select 4, you go here and you press F9, and you have the 2001 2002 2003 2004. Now your job is to actually use this formula in the charts. That is the only technique, right? Now same way you have to obviously create it for the revenue also. Now if I have to create the function for the revenue, well, I start my reference from the B1 and I want to start from 100. So I say row number 1, column number 0, and then this is going to be my height, and then obviously only one width. Control shift enter, and now I have my the values coming here. If I press F9, 100, 200, 300 and 500, they are coming. And same way, if you go and press F9, you have 2001 2002 2003 2004, right? So you have, I mean, both the values coming automatically. Now let us go ahead and guys copy this formula. I just go and remove the equals to from here. This was just to do the testing. Okay, I go and so I go and copy this entire function, copy this formula. Now we will go in the name manager. You remember the name manager? You can refer to any table by any name, but this time the table is not coming like this. The table is coming directly from the offset. So you have copied the formula, you go to the formula bar, this formula, you click on the name manager, and now click on the new, and here let's go and give it a name. What name you want to give? Well, I want to give it a name which obviously cannot have a space, any special character, and also avoid writing the numeric numbers. Simply I will write my year, right? So my year refers to what? Refers to what? Is this refers to this or this or this? Actually nothing, because this is all static. These are static ranges. My actually range refers to this formula, equals to offset. Automatically the data will be picked. Click OK. Come back here. Click back here. Can you see that? Because I have selected here 4, my offset is picking only 4. I showed you this, right? But this time it is now converted into a range manager, name manager, which is my year. That's the idea. Go and create one more for the revenue. So I go and create the revenue. I'll write here my revenue. Actually, my revenue refers to what? Again, I go and say equals to control V, but obviously because I have a practice, so I didn't copy this. I will directly go and edit this B1, and then I think rest remains same, right? Now, as I was telling you guys that why I have put the dollars, because you know what happened if you don't put the dollars here, somehow when you press OK and you come back to this name manager again, you find here that this B1 will change to something else, maybe B100, B1 lakh, B10,000. This happens, okay? So you must put the dollars here. So I go and click OK. Once you click OK, you must do the testing if it is picking up or not, like we did for the revenue. I click here and my revenue is coming. Revenue is also coming, year is also coming. So going forward now, in this my workbook, my year and my revenue will be known as A2 to A5 and so on. But what if I go and change this to 9? Can we go and check that? Control F3 is the shortcut key to go to the name manager, or maybe from here you can go. I told you this thing. I now click here to check. Look at this. Your data is automatically changing. This is the power of offset. Not only this, but in VB also you will use it. Offset is actually a very classy function. It is used not in the dynamic drop downs, not in the just to make the dashboards and populating the list of the associates. You know, it can do a lot of other things as well. Now this is done. Now once you have done the data, once you have made the data, how now you're gonna fix this into the chart? Well, this is my chart and I already know that chart is using some data and I know that how the data is coming there. So I go in the design view, I click on the select data. This static thing has to be converted into dynamic thing. Can anyone tell me that what is the next step you will do here? Any idea?
सीरीज नेम में हम लोग वो सोर्स डाल देंगे जो डिफाइन मैनेज किया हुआ है, जो टेबल नेम सीरीज नेम में डाल देंगे.
Absolutely. Very nice. So just mute yourself. So now the next thing which I do, this is series name, we will not touch. This is just a name, you know, coming from revenue. We go here and we delete this range up till $sign. Sheet name is required. Write the name here. What is the name of your this series? It's the revenue, right? It's I think it's the revenue. So for the revenue I created what? My revenue. Make sure you write the correct spellings. Case sensitivity is not the issue. Uppercase, lowercase, whatever, you know, Excel doesn't really create the problem. There's just only one function, which is a find. Click OK. Okay, this is done. You want to check, you edit here, click here and look at this. Well, you don't have to check that because you know if this will have some problem. Let's say you have written here double E. You click OK and you will get the problem that Excel found a problem. This reference does not exist. So if you get this error, either the offset is not working, you did not test it, but we tested it, so we are confident. But here maybe typo mistake. So I just go and click OK. Same way now, let's go and convert that this year. So this is my axis. In the axis, it's picking up the entire list and this is not required. You know, backspace till the dollar. Sheet name sign of exclamation will be there, right? So now I go and write here my year. I click OK. I click OK. You have the data now. Can we go and check that? Fantastic. Can you see that? User can now change the entire thing. Look at this. This is really very powerful.
It's awesome.
Yes. So it's actually the offset power. And now I mean, you know, I've just given you one example. You now know the art of changing the data. If tomorrow you want to show here bottom 50%, top 50%, you just need to go and change the offset functionality. The chart will remain as it is because you have already created the ranges. Now if you have already created the ranges, you just need to go and work with the height parameter or the width parameter, whatever it is, and then you will be able to. Now for example, if you want to show always the 50% data, then how will you do it? uh, just give me a second. Want Let me put my charger back. It's getting some problems, just one second. I copy the data and I paste the chart here. Let's do in this chart. But then obviously you have to create a different name manager, because you can't use the same name manager in the table in the same in the different in these two charts. So this is your chart. So now top 50% data. So to get the top 50% data, first of all, let's go and do the testing. Okay, so how I can do that? I have already this formula done here. I copy this, and just to do the testing, I paste this here and I press Control Shift Enter. Now I know that this data is starting from 2001, right? But it's picking these 11 items. So let's not do that. Instead of this, what we will do, we will go and use the count A. Count A, let's say my data is A12, maybe let's say A20. Right now I'm just keeping A20, and then by 2, divided by 2. If you want the bottom, as you can go back to that offset function, you can use that. Right now this is done. So I think I press Control Shift Enter, and let's quickly go and check that. So we got 2001, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we good. So we have got the 8 rows. So this function, I must freeze this before I start pasting this function in the offset in the name manager. I copy this. I don't need this equals to sign. That's just for your explanation. Let's go to the formula and let's create a name manager. This time let's click on the new. So let's say I write here new year. You can give the name of your choice, new year, and this refers to equals to Control V. Now see this. If I right now want to see my entire function, then maybe as a habit you start pressing left arrow because you want to go to the left. The moment you press left arrow, see what will happen. Can you see that? Left arrow, right arrow does not work in this window. If you wanted to move to the left side of this formula, you wanted to go in the beginning of the formula, but the moment you pressed left arrow, it actually linked the cell, some random cell with the Excel, some random cell from the Excel, which is wrong. So I backspace it. Now what is the idea? If you want to go to the left side, if you want to scroll right and left, first you go in the edit mode, which is F2. Okay, I go and press F2. Now you see, now this is working. Now I can scroll, right? Obviously I have to see the formula, right? So is it coming good or not? So I click OK. I think the formula looks good. I can go and check that, and it's picking up the data. So this is perfectly fine. I go and create one more new manager, and I write here new revenue. I just write here new rev, and this again I go and paste the formula, but this time again I press F2, and now I move to the left side. But this time, guys, because we need the reference, we need the revenue, so this has to be B1. So I'm on the B1 now. Rest everything remains same. Obviously because number of counts of year and revenue will remain same, so you don't have to change this count A1 to A2 to B1 to B2, because if I have number of years 15, revenue must be there. So I go and click OK. But yes, one thing I will do, I click here and I check that whether it is coming or not. The data is coming. We got the new rev, we got the new year. You have your chart. I just go and design it maybe a little different this time. Let's say this is my chart. I go to the select data, and now in the revenue, you select this revenue, you click on the edit and you write here new rev. You click OK and you click on the edit part, new year. So you can customize the chart. You click OK, and I guess we are done with this. If you want to check, you can click on the edit, though your chart will tell you the entire story. So that is another way of testing. Now you have the chart here created, and I just go and maybe I go and remove this rows from here. Let's see what's gonna happen. So I got here the 50% data, which is top 4, and obviously in this particular case, because 11 items are not there, right? So these all rest of the items are going to show up here as blank, right? Makes sense. So I undo it. If I go and remove let's say, or I may go and add something. So I go and further add, let's say, these years. You can see that chart is expanding. The moment you put some data there, you have the chart coming automatically getting populated, right? So we got 2001 to 2010. Makes sense? 2001 to 2010. Yes, that is how it is. Top 50%, bottom 50%, or whatever you want to do, I don't know, right? So I mean, you can go and create the charts according to these offset functions, right? So in the next chapter we will be talking more about the offset, right, and a couple of more chart tricks. I'm going to share it with you, and then we will start with the pivots and the condition formatting. So I guess you practice on this, and next time when I meet you, I will further go and give you one more lecture on the offset, which is to how to use the offset in these drop down these ActiveX in the form controls. This is very powerful. So offset is also used there. So let us meet in the next chapter, and we will continue from there. Thank you so much for your time, and have a fantastic learning, guys. Bye bye.